So, welcome to the Uncommon Talks.
Hi everyone, this is Uncommon Talks with Satanik Roy, who is a 30 under 30 by Forbes. He's an entrepreneur, he's a CEO of a refurbishing e-commerce business, and he'll be sharing his story, his path, why this idea, why this product, why the e-commerce site. He'll be giving you basic knowledge of what is a refurbished business, how does it work, customer size, and about the industry. Over to you, Satanik.
Thanks, Jatinder. Thanks for having me over here over Uncommon Talks. Thank you so much for. I am Shautanik. I'm the co-founder and chief product officer of a startup called HyperExchange. We started around 2016, and since then we have scaled phenomenally. The COVID happened to be one of the biggest levers for our growth and scale. Pandemic, it has probably been one of the most unfortunate events in the history. We realized post the biggest say economic depressions, the economic crises are probably the part where the biggest companies have always come up. For example, Amazon, Uber, Airbnb, Stripe, all of them have exactly the point where there was just a great economic crisis, and that's where we are heading today. I'm pretty sure India is at a very similar stage where it is so nascent, where we are probably not even having 100 unicorns yet in India. We are still looking at a market which is growing phenomenally over here. That's to give you a background about the market. About HyperExchange, we are India's fastest growing before brand currently. Before as an industry is growing phenomenally post COVID. These were probably the products someone was looking for as an aspirational product at an affordable price before COVID. Post COVID, where the work from home and study from home have started, and at the same time there has been job losses, there has been haircuts in salaries. People are looking forward for more devices, but at an affordable price point. That's what the exact HyperExchange solves for you. As I just said, so before COVID, what was just a aspirational product today has become a necessity. Yes. And I believe we could not be at a better time in history where this market is probably growing to $100 billion market, and we see 95% of this market is unstructured trade. And most so ever, there is not a single player globally which is worth more than $3 billion. So there's just one player who's worth $3 billion in terms of valuation, but all the other players out there in the market not even worth $1 billion. That's how big the market is, and it's a phenomenal opportunity out there. In the refurb space. Right. Having said that, I also definitely put this up like it's not just a refurb space. I believe there has lot of spaces which have been unstructured. With COVID happening, most of the businesses went back to ground zero, and it's an open market from square one for everyone. If someone is looking forward to start things up, this is probably the right time.
So for the audience, let's start from the beginning. We'll follow a step so they can understand everything, right? So how did you get this idea?
We started when we started in 2016, right? So HyperExchange is a Dominoom startup. We were looking forward to start something in the consumer electronics space. And back then, the refurbished market was somewhere around $55-60 billion market around 5 years back, and it was growing at a 40% CAGR year on year. Mm-hmm. While there was growth, while there was a huge market opportunity, we realized not many players are into this market, and it's not about the competition, but it's also about structuring a gray market which is growing phenomenally. And with technology and say for example, the government policies coming in, there will definitely be a disruption in the market. That is when we chose to probably work on a structured process in terms of restructuring the entire QA market for refurbish. We realized the opportunity and dived in to set this market.
So how do you manage this? Like, what is your business model? Because there are a lot of doubts in the mind of a consumer, because big giants like Amazon and Flipkart, they also have their personal refurbished market, and Flipkart even has a individual site for this. And how do you manage to compete with them? Second, how can you build trust in the mind of a consumer?
Couple of things here. Answering your first question first. Right. How do we really compete with the Amazons and the Flipkarts of the world? First and foremost, saying Amazon and Flipkart are marketplaces. These aren't brands. So all the sales you see over Amazon and Flipkart, 99% of it is by HyperExchange. HyperExchange is the top seller in both Amazon and Flipkart. Say Paytm Mall, Quikr, OLX, name any, we are over there. Basically, we aren't competing with them. We are partner to them. It's through us, Amazon and Flipkart is scaling. But definitely there are other players as well over there in the platform whom we are competing against. How do we compete? We compete in two differentiated ways. One you pointed out correctly was trust. How do we create a trust in this market? And the other was transparency. I mean, today going out in the market, if you say someone, there's this great phone called iPhone 12 Pro Max where Apple is already spending billions of dollars marketing it. Just go out there and say, we want to buy an Apple iPhone 12 Pro Max at probably not 1,20,000, but I'll give you at 50,000. Right? When you say that, I don't think anyone is going to say no. Rather, it's just like a steal deal. Right? That's what usually the expectation is. But why is it there's a reluctance against buying a refurbished product? It was because of two things: the trust and the transparency part. Right. First, I'll speak about the trust part. It's about creating worry-free trust policy where the customer is assured about the product. I mean, today, even if you buy from, say, Flipkart or Amazon, right, they have a 6 months warranty policy. So upfront, I'm stating a customer, the product you're buying is not good. That's an upfront statement I'm putting up in front of the customer. HyperExchange was the first brand out there to create a policy which has a 12-month doorstep warranty. Any issue with the product that happens, you do not have to go to a service center, sit over there and wait for the servicing to happen. All you have to do is probably just pick up your phone and probably call us up, drop us a mail, drop us a text, whatsoever. Your device will be replaced at your doorstep. 12 months, no questions asked. Now you're telling a customer, and there's also other policies as well around it. There's a 7-day body free return. There's a 9 months buyback assurance.
Right.
For every product we sell, there's a tree being planted. All this creates a trust element around the entire structure. Now you are asking a customer, you know what, I'm giving you an iPhone 12 Pro Max, which costs you 1,20,000, not just at 50,000, but with 12 months warranty. Also giving you this product, in a sealed HyperExchange box, so that you have that unboxing type of an experience. That is where you are now telling the customer, I am giving you a product which you can trust about. That has created a major difference for us. We have a 79% customer retention today. And the second part, which I just said about transparency, you need to realize why someone was giving a 3 months warranty or a 6 months warranty, because they were not sure about the product they're selling. Why? Because as I already mentioned, this was a gray market. This was a market which was not automated. It was totally done on the manual process. I'll give you a very simple example. You go out there, try to sell your device to someone. They will take your device in the hand and say, "Iske liye 5,000 dunga." That's what typically happens.
Exactly.
5,000 dunga. But why not 4,500? Why not 5,200? Because it's based on something I call hope. He's hoping if he probably procures this at 5,000, he can probably sell this at 5,500, will make 500 rupees margin out of it. That's hope. Tomorrow,
Right.
if your display is not working and he thinks there's a 700 rupees, change for the display glass, that's when he realizes it's not about a display, it's about the IC which is totally out. Now it's no more a 700 rupees repair, it's a 7,000 rupees repair. You cannot build a billion-dollar business based on this. You have to have data. You have to have facts, proper valuation around each and every product. That's when we created something called Faraday.
Right.
Faraday is an in-house device that has been created, which uses AI, ML, and other deep learning processes. Diagnose a device. It's simple like an ATM machine. You go in front of the Faraday. It's a very small machine which can easily be transported. Right. You go in front of the Faraday. You place your device. The device goes in. Tells you the valuation of the device. It's based on a lot of factors. It's based on the sensors. It's based on the exterior factors. It's based on what is the current value of that device in the market. Based on what is the demand of that device in the market. I mean, I still sell iPhone OnePlus 5T more than iPhone 6G. Demand for iPhone 1+ 5T is more than 1+ 6G. So that clearly defines if someone is over there by a 1+ 5T, I would probably incentivize him so that he or she sells a product too. That's what really happens. But it also has different versions. So basically, when I'm procuring in bulk 10,000 devices, there's a B2B version, which does not require to set each and every device out there in terms of, say, a single process, but it's a bulk process that can really happen over there, right? So basically, you can put up multiple devices over there all together. That's the magic of the Faraday device we have, and I believe that created both the points we focused on: the trust process, the entire branding, and the transparency process with the entire automation.
There is the clarity of trust, there is the clarity of transparency, and how do you manage this? So let's talk about the quality check. How do you manage that?
We go by the same mission. So basically now what really is happening is we have our offline, other franchisees, they own certain refurbishment processes in-house, and it's a totally automated process. So basically today, anyone who is diving into a franchisee model with us does not have to have any knowledge of the market, does not have to know how to even open our device. Right? There are SOPs around everything, and Faraday checks the entire quality. So basically, if a device is going out of Faraday and it does not have a standard say screen, Faraday would not approve. So I'm very sure about the quality of the device I'm procuring. That really sets my supply chain in a very efficient way. I mean, today think about my competitors who are, say, procuring 1,000 devices and manually checking each and every device. So it takes at least a week for them to check the devices. Now they know what is the issue with the devices. Now they go out and order for the spares. Then the spares come. Then they refurbish it and then they sell, which is a 45-day cycle. What is happening with me today is as soon as my procurement is happening, there itself I know what is the issue with what device. So before it is coming to my refurbishment factory, my spares are already procured. So it's
Right.
already there before it's coming to my refurbishment factory. And
Correct,
say for
correct.
example, there's a volume button change to be made, which according to my SOP is a 2 minutes process. In my refurbishment center, this product is already sold because I know this will just take 2 minutes to get it done. So that's how efficient my supply chain is, which was taking a 45-day cycle. Today, it probably can be done in next 15 minutes. That's the magic of automation. Entire focus have always been around creating sustainable technology processes. And basically, not just that, we are a focused brand who are focusing much on the climate positive change. We are bringing down the carbon footprint. That is something on we are very,
True.
very, very deeply focusing right now.
True. Yeah, that is actually great. Because there are a lot of carbon waste. There is a lot of electronic waste coming out.
I'll give you a small example. So basically, HyperExchange today sells 10,000 to 15,000 products every month.
Okay.
Right now, we will probably scale that to over 20x, 30x in next 3 months. Right? That's where we are growing up to. Having said that, for every product we sell, we plant a tree. So basically, even with 10,000, 15,000 products sold every month, we are planting almost a forest every year. That's what we are
Wonderful.
doing today.
Yeah.
Right? And creating similar forests over probably next 10 years, 15 years is something we look forward to and create a very, very social positive impact in terms of the climate positivity.
Exactly. That is actually a good thing you're doing. Let's say it's a CSR, or even if it's a policy or anything, you're still doing good. When did you get this idea? You had your friends, you told them, and you must have told other people also. So what were their reaction?
I mean, the team I'm currently working on, I believe I could not have a better co-founding team than this down the same years, even say exiting from HX and probably moving on to the next startup or whatsoever happens. I strongly believe this is a team. I'm really lucky to have such a great team. While I was in college, right, I was just around 21 back then when we started Hyper Exchange 5 years back. That was my team. My other co-founders, Ashish, Dipanjan. Ashish had over a decade of experience. He was managing the entire TCS operations for India. He was reporting directly to Ratan Tata as his last job role before
Okay.
quitting and starting HyperExchange with me. And there was Dipanjan. Had over a couple of decades of experience. He was based out of Boston almost. He was managing the entire M&A merger and acquisition for our company named Tech Mahindra globally, US, Canada, China. He was also the person who earlier in his life made one of the biggest IT deals ever in India. He sold Putney to iGate for $2.5 billion. So
Oh, wow.
this was a phenomenal team
Yeah.
I already have. So
Big names and
So-
big brains.
while there were people with processes, while there were people with who has the understanding and experience to scale something, right, and who have seen the movie in their life already. There was someone like me who probably came up with challenging out of the box ideas on the table and said, hey, why can't we do this? Been a lot of evolution around the same thing, and I think we are really proud as a team to always mention in our VC calls, like this is a team which has one of the co-founders in his mid-40s, and the
Yes.
co-founder in his mid-30s, and the last co-founder in his mid-20s. That's how the team is. But having said that, I believe this was probably not the first team I introduced myself to. I had many of my friends, as you just mentioned, right? So many people I reached out to my co-founders, and I believe that the ideas are something we all have. Unless it is executed, no one will believe in it. I do not see any issue amongst anyone who probably rejected me that day. Be it someone I wanted to probably have as my co-founder, or be it someone I wanted to have as my board member, or even say an investor. I have been rated by over 500 investors before we raised our first round. The better you execute, the greater value you create out in the market, and more people will believe in it. It's just about reaching to that one person who believes in you. Everything else will fall in.
Rightly said. What was the most down slope or down moment in that business area you had ever till now in last 5 years? And what did you learn from that?
I think we raised our first funding. So we were incubated by IIM Calcutta as our first incubation. It's one of the most premium premier institutions in the country.
Right.
Great set of people over there. Sequoia, Tiger, they're all on board over there. It's really an honor to be an early stage startup and be included by one of the most premier institutions in this country. Then we also had a chance to raise our first VC round within 2 years. It was a big check. I just graduated back then. Compared my grads in mechanical from SRM, postgrads from Stanford. Just completed my studies, and it was just me early out of my college. So basically, while my friends were probably into jobs and discussing their LPAs. I was there starting my startup where it has already raised VC funding. So while that happened, being young, we always have a thing like this is it. I mean, things cannot go bad from here. But over the time, we realize it's about a roller coaster journey. I mean, today, if you're managing two people, and say, for example, today tomorrow there's an issue, it's easier to manage than tomorrow having 200 people and say whatever the issue is, be it a process issue, be it a financial issue. When you have scaled to an extent where it's not about just you anymore, where it's not about just one more person, it's about 200 other person. It's really difficult to manage, and
Exactly.
there will be hundreds of different things that will come up. That is the reason you are into something that is going to be innovated, not something that has already been a business out there. That's the difference, right? That's the difference between a startup and a business. There will definitely be hundreds of issues, but I think that's the journey. That's the magic of this journey. That's what we love about this, right?
Yes,
And that is why, if not probably a Bollywood, say, celebrity, you probably become a startup founder, right? And you celebrate it.
Yeah, I guess that is a kind of mentality coming in our generation, millennials and the Gen Z, that being a startup owner or a co-founder or a founder is a very cool thing. But some of them are not even thinking what is the hard work and the time and the hours and the efforts that are put into it, because they are only seeing the front image. Like they say, it takes hours and days and years of hard work to get that one break. To be overnight success, you need a many years of hard work. So they only see that overnight success, but they don't see the hard work behind it.
I think this has been spoken over and over in the industry and everywhere around this, right? While part of it is actually true, right? But on the other hand, I think we definitely need our heroes to follow. We need the Sachin Mansas of the world who has probably created the first wave of startups in this country. And even if someone finds it just cool to start a startup, walks around it for 6 months, fails, goes back to probably a job or whatsoever. The better part around it is the entire story is he learns something out. And someone who has already dived in, given say 6 months of their life or a year of their life or say 3 years of their life into something, they will always come back. And this time when they go back to an industry, it's not about, I did this cash flows, I probably have this degree. It's about, I had a business, I had a startup, I scaled it from zero to say $1 million in terms of revenue or say in terms of valuation, or leave $1 million. Say I scaled it to a monthly revenue of 50 lakhs.
Good
I
enough.
know the business. I know the processes. I know how logistic works. I know how billing works. So how finance works. I
Exactly.
know how operations works.
Exactly.
Right? Can you hire me and let me scale probably this part of your business, which is say 1 crore on a monthly revenue today? I'll scale this to 10 crore because I have that experience out there. So
Exactly.
while you pitch to your employer, it's a different pitch altogether. Right? And I think that sets the bar apart. Even if someone thinks it to be cool and
Yeah.
jumps out into
Jumps
it,
in. Yeah. Exactly.
great.
Yeah, that does make a difference if he or she is consistent and they do make a living out of it, and just not for the namesake. Then it is educating journey. It is a very experiential process because you get to handle so much. You actually get a lot of accountability and responsibility when you handle even two people. You might have to fight.
Right.
You have to discuss, you have to build ideas from the scratch, you have to build
Sure.
concept, you have to build, like you said, you had your first policy, you gave that 1 year of boosted warranty, right? That kind of intellectual brainstorming happens within those people, and that process, I guess, continues even if you have 200 people. The basics of those steps: communication, understanding the problem, and then giving a solution after analyzing all these things, that remains the same even if you have 200 people under you. And it also teaches you a lot of leadership and
Exactly.
gives you confidence.
It's like they say, like jump off the cliff, build your airplane before you hit the ground. That's what to summarize the entire entrepreneurial journey in a single phase.
So do you hire young people? Like, you have a lot
Of
of
course.
experienced people in your company, all the co-founders and all, they have a lot of, in total, you people might have a experience of around more than 50 years in the industry, right? How do you manage and how do you handle, what do you see in a newcomer, in a fresher?
I would always say, the best thing around at Hyper Exchange, and this is something probably we are going to discuss more in depth in probably the coming years, right? About the structural policy at Hyper Exchange. It's not a hierarchy policy. It's not about the CEO, then probably the directors, and then probably the managers, and under them the say senior leaders, and then the junior leaders, and then the interns. It's not about that at all. It's about
Okay.
cycles we created. Every cycle is focused towards the customer experience. So the customer doesn't care if you probably have an operations team. The customer doesn't care if you probably have a senior customer executive team.
Right.
The customer just cares one thing. I want a product. How do I get this product? That's a simple demand from the customer. Howsoever you have your hierarchy, CEO, operations head, this, that, the customer doesn't care.
Exactly.
I just want a simple product. I need the simple product. Post my purchase, I probably want a service.
Exactly.
I just need that solution.
Exactly.
Done. If that is the case, we realize how do we define everything around the customer. So HyperExchange does not have any teams, as in the the technology team. There's no operations team. Everyone is working towards one thing. That is to satisfy the customer. So having said that, today probably interns managing a very senior resource, because we feel if this interns take this up and probably goes out in the market, because they probably are the ones who are in direct connect with the customers. Right? This could be local sales guys who go out in the field every day. So they are the ones where the senior say people with larger experience, with many years of experience are reporting. Because this is the person who is in direct contact with the customer. And our entire organization is totally focused towards a customer-centric focus. That really creates a different type of the same thing you said, the different type of a responsibility. An intern who is just fresh out of college and was probably just expecting, say, to work in probably a project which does not matter. Right? That's what most interns work out there in a corporate world. Was probably just expecting to bring the coffee for the CEO every day in the morning. Here, they are managing a person who is having a decade of experience. And even there are cases, where the co-founders and the directors report to probably an intern. That's how the entire organization is built. Right? So it's no more a hierarchy. It's a holacracy model we follow at HyperExchange to totally focus towards the customer. So whosoever is in touch with the customer, whosoever is going out to the field, whosoever is speaking to the customer who was called, whosoever is probably replying to the customer is the person, the other person.
Brand basically.
Exactly.
Himself.
Exactly.
He, she doesn't matter, position doesn't matter. Whoever is representing us to the customer, that is the brand.
That is the highest highest point in the organization structure.
Exactly.
Everyone comes under.
In how many regions do you have this? If I am sitting in Delhi, can I order from your HyperX?
Yes. Yeah. Even if you're sitting in Boston, you can still order it. So Delhi is just next door, I would say. Right. But yes, definitely we are across pan India. Not just pan India, we are across US and UK as well. So those are the geographical locations we are currently into, and are definitely looking forward to create a global venture soon.
The last message, any 3 points or any one-liner you want to give to the new age entrepreneurs?
As I already said, I feel I might just repeat it. Jump off the cliff, build your aeroplane before you hit the ground. Even if you fail, you will have learned enough, and probably this will be the biggest thing that has happened in your life. This is something you'll never ever forget. Those years of your life. So it's a brilliant story out there for you to create.
So I guess that 0 to 1 is the most difficult part. You can have ideas. You can get from minus to 0, 1. That is okay. You can have ideas, but 0 to 1, that execution part, that one execution thing, one first step, basically. First step is the most difficult one. After that, you can start figuring out, you can fall, you can get up, then you can finally get to manage and process things. This was Uncommon Talks with Satanik Roy, the founder of HyperX.
Thank you.
HyperExchange. And so please check out this site, and it was wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Fun, and I had a lot of motivation from you. Now I probably continue this for a long term. Thank you so much.